Okay, well, we have a special treat this week as today I am joined by one of the players that we have spent the most time talking about over the last 3 seasons. He hails from Lafayette, Indiana, where he had a standout career at McCutcheon High School, earning Area Player of the Year honors as a sophomore, a junior, and a senior, and making it all the way to the Class 4A state title game. And my old high school basketball coach at West Lafayette, Dave Wood, who coached against him all those seasons, told me that he's the best player to come out of the area in the 25 years that he's been coaching there. He then came to Indiana in 2018 alongside Romeo Langford as part of Archie Miller's highly ranked first recruiting class. And like Romeo, he started from day one. And over the years, he's earned the nickname Big Shot Rob because of his penchant for coming up big in big moments. And he's also developed a reputation as being one of the best on-ball defenders in the Big Ten. But injuries and inconsistency, coupled with the instability of a program that required a coaching change in the offseason, have left many IU fans and observers feeling like he hasn't really shown us everything that he can be yet. Could that change in a senior season with a new coach and a new system with a remade roster? Well, those of us who are claiming membership in the Rob Phinisee fan club, as I am, certainly think so. And I'm very excited to be joined by Rob here today on the Assembly Call. Rob, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Has it sunk in yet that your senior season is approaching?
Not really, honestly. I mean, you hear it every time growing up how the older you get after time goes, but it's really true. So, I mean, I'm just excited and just ready to get after it.
Yeah, what is this time like? Because we're recording this on September 22nd. Hoosier Hysteria is October 2nd, so practice hasn't officially started. Is this kind of like the calm before the storm for you? Because now you've kind of been around the block, you know what to expect, kind of like the last few weeks before things get crazy.
Yeah, I think practice starts, I think, within the next 10 days. So right now we're just having little workouts. And then, like once the practice starts, it gets pretty hectic. We don't have that much time.
Yeah. Now, have you thought about what you're doing after the season? I mean, I know that's a long way in the future, but obviously things are a little different now because you've got that extra COVID year. Have you thought about that at all, or is that something you're just going to wait and think about once you get done with the season?
Yeah, it's really depends on how this last year goes. I haven't really thought about it too much, but obviously I know I'll talk it over with my family and at the coaching staff to see what's best for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a unique situation, that no one else has really had to deal with. Nice to have the option though. But like you said, I mean, it'll be interesting, obviously, with a new staff. What have been kind of your first impressions of, you kind of had 3 years under one staff with one kind of atmosphere and environment. What are kind of the early returns for you on how things are different with this new staff and the new roster?
I would just say the energy in the building and practices and really just a facility. Just having new guys with X, Miller, Big Mike, even the freshman coming in. And then Coach Kenya's back. He's pretty much the only coach last year who's back. And then Coach Coach Feist, and obviously Coach Woodson. But it's really just a new vibe in the building. Everything's new. I feel like pretty much everyone has to start from day one just because it's a new staff. And really everybody's really just building confidence with each other, vibing on and off the court. So it's really just new energy. I would say that's the biggest thing that's different.
Yeah. Did you have a lot of awareness of Coach Woodson and Coach Feist's history at IU before they got there as coaches?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I wouldn't say a lot, but I mean, obviously as they got here, you see things online and you hear more and more about just the stories they tell you about the things they've done at IU.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool, man. So I want to have a little fun with this discussion, and our listeners, who probably heard the interview that I did with Devonte Green back in the day, we kind of did something fun where we took some clips of Devonte's great moments and played those and kind of had him react to them. And so I want to do that with you. And so I pulled some clips. I'm going to play them. I'll play it. You see if you can guess what the game is. Some of them will be obvious because the announcers will say it. But let's play these, relive some of these moments, then use that as some different discussion points for your time at IU. Does that work for you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so here's the first one. Tell me if you remember what game this is from.
Definitely not the game that either them or their fans were probably expecting. Phinisee dials that one up from a different area code and knocks it down. 57-12 now. Active hands. Take away. Phinisee, other end. Another dunk. Has there been anything tonight that he has not? Well, getting some assists to the teammates, steals, rebounds, drives down the lane, left hand, scoop shot, and got it again.
All right, so there's no real identifying information from that game other than the score, which he mentioned in the middle. And the score he mentioned was 57-12 for anybody who didn't catch that. Do you remember what game that's from?
Yeah, I thought it was, at first I thought it was going to be like a college highlight, but yeah, that's from senior year. Is that when I scored 50?
That is against Harrison.
Yeah.
Against Harrison. And as a West Lafayette grad, I'm always up for celebrating anybody kicking the pants off of Harrison. So it was fun watching that highlight. We'll get to the college highlights, don't worry. But I thought that was a really good one. What do you think about when you reflect back on that game?
So I remember I needed 15 points to break the all-time scoring record at the school. And I remember I hit end of the first quarter, I hit a three to get 15 points. And then, after that, I was just on fire. So, the basket really felt like it was super big. So I don't think I missed that many shots that game. And then I remember I got subbed out with like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And we were up. I don't know. I know I had more points than their team, though. That's what I remember.
How many could you have scored if Coach Peckinpah? Oh, that wasn't Peckinpah, right? That was the other coach who replaced him.
Yeah. But, I would say 60, but so I think the school record was like 56 by Coach Peckinpah's son, but I didn't end up getting it. But I feel like I could have scored 60 that game.
Now, see, it was a conspiracy to keep a Peckinpah atop the list of the single game scoring. Your high school career was interesting because you made the state title game, I think, as a sophomore, right? When you guys went up against Romeo in the title game. And, you obviously scored a lot throughout your career, but a little bit more of a facilitator those first couple of years. And then your scoring just took off as a senior. Yeah. What kind of talk me through that? What was the mindset shift that you made, as a senior, and why did that occur?
Really, honestly, I feel like I adjusted to my teammates well. Going into my senior year, we lost probably about, 60 to 70% of our scoring. So I knew my senior year I had to score a lot more and just do more because, growing up, I had 2 or 3 guys who were always older than me that really pretty much helped me to be the player I am today. I played with my older brother, and then some of my older friends I always grew up playing with. So they pretty much helped me growing up, just being able to lead. So my senior year, I knew I had to step it up a little bit.
And obviously, as everybody knows, and as I mentioned in the intro, you're from Lafayette, right in Purdue's backyard, and you made the decision to come to Indiana. What ultimately led to that decision? I know what made my decision to go from Lafayette to Indiana, but I grew up in Bloomington. What was it for you that did it?
My biggest thing was I really didn't want to stay home. I saw the campus growing up. My older brother was there 2 years before I was, and then my mom went there. My little brother goes there now. So I feel like I just needs a new scene, just to pretty much meet new people and just get a new fresh start, really.
Yeah. When you made that decision, did you worry at all about blowback, like from the local fans or from Purdue fans? And how was the reality of that matched what you thought it might be?
Honestly, not really. Obviously I knew the people who really loved me and actually supported me, they really didn't care what decision I made. So I wasn't really worried about that. And to be honest, I honestly haven't got as much blowback as I thought I would just from being at IU. So every time I go home, it's always all love and people there always support me. Yeah.
Does that game mean more to you because you're from Lafayette, do you think? Like when Indiana plays Purdue?
For sure. You definitely feel it. You feel the rivalry and everything. But growing up, even though my parents and everybody went to Purdue, I was never like a Purdue fan. So it obviously does mean a lot more. I feel like it's kind of like the McCutcheon-Harrison thing I had in high school. There's always be a rivalry behind it. And that game's always bigger than every other game on the schedule.
So what do we have to do this year to get your first victory over those guys? Because I know you're more sick of it than I am, and we're all sick of losing to those guys. What do we have to do this year to change that?
Obviously, they have the 2 big guys inside, Travion and Big Edie. But I would say just play harder than they do. That's what they pretty much pride themselves on. And I feel like this year it's going to be a lot different. I feel like people aren't going to know what to do with us because the way our offense is, we're a a lot more spread out guys are able to play their games. But I feel like the big thing is it's a mentality thing versus them, and really just play harder than they do.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go on now to our next game. And this game is from your college career. Let's see if you can recognize which one this is.
I know you and many others have their eyes on the two freshmen in Phinisee and Langford as he finishes strong. What a silky smooth game he had.
Where the defense can get set. That allowed Durham to just easily have that three-point shot.
Joey Hauser turns it over. Phinisee away from the pack. Here's Durham with the layup. Durham comes away with it on the push. Got Langford on the wing. Phinisee finds Fitzner for three. Yes! What a start for the Hoosiers.
All right. Do you know what that one was?
Yeah, Marquette game my freshman year.
That was the Marquette game, which just an unbelievable game. The third game of your career, really, the first game against a good team because you guys played a couple cupcakes ahead of that. You had 12 points, 8 assists, 4 for 4 on 2-point field goals. And obviously you guys just took that game over with the defense early on. And it's interesting. It was interesting going back through your moments in your career because I think you could make the argument that that moment, that game was the peak of the Archie Miller era at Indiana. Because it really seemed like everything was possible on that night. Romeo was so good. You were so good. You guys were shooting it. You're playing defense. Take us back to that night. What did it feel like to experience that in just your third game at Indiana?
It was crazy. I just remember being super nervous because obviously I had to guard Marcus Howard that night. So, going in, I didn't really know what to expect. But I just remember it being super electric in there. I know we started off, I think we might have been up 20 at a point in the first half. So, just the energy in there. I'll always remember that game. And I remember playing really well. And like you said, we were rolling. We were rolling during that time, I remember.
What was the feeling like in the locker room after that game? Because again, as fans, it felt like everything is possible, man. This team, the sky's the limit. The Archie Miller era is rolling. Like, what was your guys' feeling after a game like that?
The same feeling. The energy was great. Everybody played pretty well, and really we were just pretty much on to the next. And at that moment, Archie's second year, so we were really we were about to get IU basketball back on track after that. So I think we were ranked probably 2 or 3 weeks after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on now to the next game and see if you can identify which one this is.
Look at the three. Phinisee finally buries one, and we are Phinisee all the way to the hole. He misses. Tip no good. Jones comes away with it. 2 seconds on the shot clock. We're going to have a foul here. We are going to have a foul called against Indiana and Deron Davis.
That foul call still pisses me off.
They make that call.
All right, so that one's pretty obvious, right? Which game is that?
Yeah, Arkansas.
Yeah, the very next game, if I recall correctly, right after the Marquette game, right?
I'm pretty sure, or the game after, one of the two.
Yeah. So the first play, it was 72-69. You bury the three with 46 seconds to go, and that kind of came on the heels of Romeo hitting a couple of big shots. And then with a tied 72-72, you drove in, had a great look. It just kind of fell off the front of the rim, and Deron was so close to tipping it in, and they called that bogus foul on him. Yeah. And that game was so interesting because, Juwan had gotten into early foul trouble. Romeo really had to carry a huge scoring load, on the road in just his fourth game. And he had to do that a lot his freshman year, and I think he came in with such high expectations, it was probably impossible for him to meet them. And I think sometimes the things that he actually did do can be a little bit underrated because of those expectations. What was it like playing with him his freshman season?
It was crazy. Just seeing how good he was in preseason, how like him coming in, you can't tell he's a freshman because he was scoring and doing pretty much everything he did in high school. But it was really great. Even being his friend, I just talked to him like a week ago, so we're still super close and everything. But just him, even off the court, seeing how people react to him, just when we're going to class or just doing other things off the court. But it's really fun playing with him.
How's he doing? You said you talked to him. Obviously his pro career hasn't gone exactly how he's wanted to just because of injuries and circumstance. Is he pretty upbeat about You know, what the future holds for him?
Yeah, he really likes it and everything. And I mean, he said everybody like in the locker room is cool, and he likes the team and everything. So he said he's really excited for this next season. I know that playoff experience really helped him, and it's going to lead him to the next season.
Yeah. What was it, what was it like for that team? I think a lot of things have been kind of said and written, and I think I have one more moment from that season. Yeah, I got one more moment from that season. Like we said, everything kind of seemed possible in the Marquette game, and that season kind of went off the rails a little bit as it kind of went into it. Like what do you think went wrong that year? I mean, besides the injuries, because you guys faced a lot of injuries, and maybe that's the biggest thing. But as you kind of look back on that season, why did it peak against Marquette, and why weren't you guys able to keep those good times rolling, do you think?
Like you said, I feel like the injuries that played a part too. But I feel like once we went on that, 12 out of 13 games, that losing streak, it was crazy. But I don't know, just the energy in the building was down. Everybody, I feel like, was just looking for an answer. And each game, everybody was like, we just need one game to turn it around. And I feel like that just compiled up and just kept building up. And then we somehow surprisingly got Michigan State. I think 11 games in. It was crazy.
Man, it is the oddest stretch of Indiana basketball ever to lose 12 out of 13, and the one win is at top 5 Michigan State. I mean, it was almost more frustrating that that's the win, because it's like, this is what these guys can do, like we all saw it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, why do you think it was so hard to find those answers? Like, as you look back on it, and is that something where it was an internal leadership thing? Is that something where it's like, man, I wish the coaching staff had better answers for us? Like, why do you think you get into a rut like that and you just can't find a way to pull yourselves out of it?
I mean, just being, like I said, being my senior year, I feel like it kind of was a internal thing with the leadership. I feel like the players, we probably should have stepped up a little bit more and probably not look towards the coaches, because I feel like the best teams are player led. So I feel like a little bit of leadership thing.
Is that odd? Let me rephrase it. What's it like as a freshman? Where, obviously you guys are coming in with so much notoriety, you're playing from day one and you've got some veterans on the team. What's it like kind of navigating that? I mean, is that something where you can step up if you want to, or there's kind of a hierarchy? And would you have done anything differently in hindsight in that season?
I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, even though, I can't go back and change the past, I feel like it helps me shape me into the person I am right now. But I would say going as a freshman, you kind of don't want to really step on anybody's toes, anything, because you don't really know the guys that well. So you're like 5 or 6 months in, meeting them with everything. But I feel like, being the point guard, I should have honestly stepped up, and I feel like brought guys more together and locked in a little bit more.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go back to another moment from that season, and I think you're going to know what the next moment is. Pretty obvious.
Takes it left, gives it up to Devonte Green, down to 5. Devonte looking for Romeo. Right, finally throws it to Rob Phinisee for a long bomb. Oh! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game as Rob Phinisee hits about a 30-foot shot. They're going to check the monitor to see whether or not time had run out. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. I think everybody knows which one that is. The game winner against Butler. Take me back to that play in that moment. What do you remember about it?
Obviously, the play wasn't designed for me. It was supposed to be for Romeo. We ran that play like 3 or 4 times before. But, I saw Romeo was being denied. I came up, and Devonte, ball faked twice to Romeo, and then I got it. I just double clutched and shot it. I felt it. It was good as soon as it left my hand, but it really did go in slow-mo, like you see it on movies a little bit. I felt like the ball was in the air for 5 seconds. So,
and do you even remember the aftermath, like the celebration, or is that one of those things that the ball goes in and it's just a total blur?
Yeah, that was adrenaline rush. I just jumped up as high as I could and flexed. But yeah, I do remember. I remember that everybody was trying to tackle me to the floor, but I didn't want to get to the floor because I'm claustrophobic. So I was just trying to fall to the floor.
Yeah, I know. It's always so dangerous. I'm always worried, during those celebrations. It's like, have fun, but let's not get hurt. Let's be careful. Yeah. So, that is what, 8, 9, 10 games into your freshman season. And now you've made this huge shot against Arkansas down the stretch. You've made this huge shot against Butler. And I mean, your reputation is being cemented as, kind of a big shot maker. And there are other moments that we're going to get to here later where you consistently hit big shots and big moments. Why do you think you've been able to rise to the occasion like that in some of those really big moments and make those shots?
Really, I would say just the work I really put in. I mean, I put in a lot of work, and just being able to know I can step up and make a shot when I need to. And really, I would just say it's the work. I feel like even in high school, I made a lot of like buzzer beater shots to end the quarters. So I feel like I've been doing it for a little bit of time.
One thing I've always wondered, because I mean, look, when you get the ball in a clutch situation, all Indiana fans think it's going in. Like you've earned that confidence. But obviously you've struggled as a shooter at other times. And I've always wondered, is there a difference for you kind of mentally or in the moment when it's, kind of a clutch shot or a big moment as opposed to other shots through the games? Because you seem to have such a higher percentage in kind of those clutch big moments. Is it, the kind of thing where you're just not thinking about it and you're more instinctive because it's down the stretch? Or like to what do you attribute that?
I would say a little bit. It is a little bit instinctive where it's like I know I have to shoot it, so it's like I know it's going up. But I mean, I would say a little bit. It'd be more instinctive because it's like a shot I know I have to shoot, and I feel like I'm going to make it every time I shoot it.
Yeah. So I mean, look, this is a program that was spoiled with the point guard play of Yogi Ferrell, when he was at Indiana. And then for a couple of years, there was very little point guard play to speak of. And that's one of the reasons everybody was so excited, about, that start to your freshman season. I mean, you were so productive. You were so efficient, and you guys won these big games. You're making big shots. And then you had the injury. You had the concussion. And it kind of felt like you never quite got back in the same rhythm that you were at early on. Is that just kind of a narrative that the talking heads latched onto, or do you feel that really kind of affected the way that the rest of your freshman season went?
I felt like towards the end of my freshman year, the last 3 or 4 games, I feel like I was back to where I was at the beginning. But yeah, I'll say a little bit, just that concussion, not really. It's my first concussion, so I didn't really know what to expect or whatnot. So the big thing honestly was like getting my confidence back on the court, because you're thinking too much. Like you don't want to get hit in your head. You don't want to do certain things. So you don't want to affect your game. But I would say, towards the end of my freshman year, I feel like I got it back.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember that Illinois game that you just went off on the road at Illinois. You had like 17, 18 points, and you guys dominated them. So it did kind of seem like you kind of got back into that rhythm. That confidence has been a topic this offseason. Dane Fife has come in, and he's a guy that, I think has been pretty out there with some of the issues that he faced with confidence as a player and some of the anxiety issues. And, like I've noticed on your Twitter, you've been sending out a lot of tweets from from Dave Anderson books. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about, what it's been like, kind of trying to build and maintain confidence, on a stage like Indiana, because you're a guy who did so many things in high school. You've had so many big moments in college. But it does feel like the confidence has been up and down a little bit. Do you think that's an accurate reflection of reality? And kind of what are some of the things that you're trying to do to, I guess, make that more consistent as you go into your senior year?
Yeah, I would say it has been a little bit, but I would say within, like you said, offensively, I haven't really been consistent with my numbers or anything. But I feel like sometimes I went out there and thought too much on like certain shots. If I were shot, I would be worried about the sideline or just different things. I feel like I thought too much. I feel like I was a coach looker, where I look over to the coach too much and not play my game that much. But that's a big thing this year with Coach Feist and Coach Woodson. I feel like it's a reset. They pretty much just want me to go out there and play as hard as I can, and just not worried about anything on offense, and really try to have my defense propel me for offense. So that's a big thing with Coach Feist right now. He says he wants me to be the best defender in the country. So that's his big focus in practice right now.
Do you feel a noticeable difference offensively with kind of this staff and the way that they coach and the system as opposed to what you were playing in before?
Yeah, for sure. It's more of like a pro style offense. It's a lot of ball screens, 4 on one end. So He wants the guards to create, and then the bigs pretty much they get the offense rolling and everything. But it's more before I went in. The court's a lot more spread to create plays for everybody.
Yeah. Do you the recruiting process is always an interesting one, because you're trying to find out what the best fit is, and coaches are trying to find out, players who are going to fit, what they do, and they're trying to sell their school and their program. Is the way that you were coached and the system that you ended up running in Indiana, is it for the first 3 years of your career, is it different than what you thought it was going to be? And in hindsight, is there, and I want to ask it delicately. I'm not asking you to, to say anything negative about anybody, but I'm just curious if the reality ended up being different from what you expected.
Yeah, I would say a little bit. I feel like we were, like last year, we had what was called 3-game, where it was a guy coming up with a ball screen, and then we had another big down low. And I feel like having that big down low kind of stuffed up the paint a little bit, and I didn't let the guards really create. But yeah, it's a lot different than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Did you feel at times pressure, like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I should be taking this shot, like not necessarily a freedom, like we saw you in that 50-point game against McCutcheon, where you're just making moves, you're instinctive. And it's always seemed to me watching you play, and I've got some clips of, of this coming up, one specifically, from the Iowa game last year, where, pull up, step back 3, and you're driving in the lane, and it's like, that guy can be an offensive force. And then it'll feel like other games, maybe you're a little hesitant to do that. Mm-hmm. Was that something where there was pressure to not take certain shots or to do things a certain way, and you didn't necessarily feel the freedom to just play your game?
Yeah, I feel like that. But then again, I feel like I can't just contribute it. I feel like a little bit was a confidence thing too, where if I did miss my first 2 or 3 shots, that I wouldn't try to take those shots or be more aggressive into the paint. So that's a little bit of both.
Yeah. All right, but let's go back to another moment. This one will probably be pretty obvious.
Turns, Winston drives, fades in the corner, short, loose, and that's it. Indiana! What a comeback win!
Do you know what moment that was?
Michigan State sophomore year.
That's right. When you were guarding Cassius Winston, I was in attendance for that one. I came up for that game. Just an awesome game. Take me through that moment and what it was like guarding Cassius Winston, who is, he's one of the best players I've seen play in the Big Ten. He's a terrific player, and you did such a good job guarding him. What was that assignment like?
It was tough. I feel like I did a good job of eliminating him, but he still somehow finished with like 20, I feel like. But I just remember, I think that 2 possessions before, actually, I feel like I played better defense on that one. I made him turn the ball over. It was close to the game, but obviously we knew he was getting the ball that last play. I think they ran a slide screen where the big slipped out and he just went. But I pressured him, contested the shot, contested step back in the quarter, I'm pretty sure. But I thought it was good at first when he first shot it, but we played good defense the whole game. So I think we beat them, 3 times in a row? The 3rd time?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so talk to me about that, because that again, that's one of the strange anomalies of the Archie Miller era is, there were so many struggles, but yet you always seem to play so well against Michigan State. Like, why was that? Was that just a matchup thing? Did you get up more for that game? Like, what caused that, do you think?
I remember the first time we were on that losing streak, he gave probably one of the best pregame speeches I've ever heard.
Really?
The time at Michigan State, the President Center. But it's pretty much, I feel like kind of like a rivalry thing with that. So I remember even before we came in there, when like they said Freddie McSwain had like 13 offensive rebounds. So it's kind of like a pride thing they said with them. So we always played super hard against them.
So the great pregame speech, was that the overtime win in the midst of the big losing streak?
Yeah.
Can you give us any snippets of that, or what the vibe of that speech was? Like, was it a great story, or was it just like intensity and throwing chairs? Like, what kind of speech was it?
Super intense. You probably have to ask Devonte about that one, but it was super intense. It was crazy.
What talk to me a little bit about Archie Miller as a coach, because I think it's easy, when things don't work out and, a coach gets fired and you're excited about, the new regime to focus on some of the things that maybe didn't go well. And obviously stuff didn't go well or he would still be the coach. Give me the 360-degree view of what it was like to be coached by Archie. The good, I think you've hinted at a few of the things that maybe frustrated you, but what was that experience like overall?
Honestly, it wasn't a bad experience. Obviously, it would have been a lot better if we would have won, but I would say the big thing with him is he really trusts me. So, regardless of how I was playing, he always said, always play defense. If you play defense and don't turn the ball over, you pretty much play. So I would say the trust thing. And then honestly, off the court, if you talk to him, he's a really cool guy, even though with the media and everything, a lot of people don't like the media, but he's actually a really good guy and everything too. So, but yeah, I had a great time playing for him. He's a coach you hard. He definitely is going to coach you hard. He's not going to let you get a galley in practice, get away with things that I feel like some other coaches would, but he's definitely a good coach.
Yeah. Well, and, you guys always seem to be, a good fit, with your defensive mentality. And he obviously had a defensive mentality, and obviously that clip that we just played was a great defensive moment. Talk to me about that defensive mentality and kind of the pride that you take in your defense. Is that more important than what you do offensively? Do you look at it that way?
Yeah, for sure. Coming in, that's pretty much what he recruited me and told me. But my defensive mentality, I feel like I need to do a better job with it. Just to, like I said, even being more consistent with it. The way we're playing this year, I can pick up more full court and force guys to speed up their offense and everything. So even with Coach Feist, even with Coach Miller, but I feel like my defensive ability, I haven't really showcased it how I should, even though I have good moments and everything. But I feel like this year you'll see it a lot more than you did in the past 3 years.
Yeah. Do you, a lot was made obviously of playing in the pack line. Do you, how much different is what you guys are doing defensively now from what you were doing before? You mentioned picking up a little bit more full court. That's obviously not something that you did a lot of because the pack line really puts a premium on getting back and getting in position. What are some of the other differences that you think fans will see this year defensively from you guys?
Definitely the ball pressure. We're picking up full court, and then he's allowing us to play the pass lanes a little bit more. So I would say the defensive ball pressure is going to be at an all-time high. Just the energy on defense, talking and everything. So everybody's in a tandem. So we'll have great defense this year.
As you look back on the guys that you've guarded, we mentioned Marcus Howard, the third game of your freshman year, one of the best scorers in recent college basketball history. Cassius Winston, one of the best point guards who you can play great defense on. He still gets 20 points and 10 assists because he's just that good. Who outside, other than those guys, who were the toughest guys that you've had to guard?
Toughest, I would say, Anthony Cowan, Maryland. Carson Edward. Honestly, I think some of the toughest guys to guard are the mid-major guys who, they have freedom to do whatever on offense. So they don't.
Yeah.
It's pretty much 1-4 flat, or they have a high ball screen. But the toughest person I've guarded is Devonte Green.
Really? Devonte Green?
I always say that he's the toughest person I have to guard. So.
Is that just because he's a total wild card and he'll shoot from anywhere? And why is it Devonte?
He has game. He has everything. Step backs. He has a handle. He's super quick. He's athletic. So he's super talented. People don't realize how good he really is.
Yeah. Did you ever see Devonte struggle with confidence or struggle with whether to take a shot or not?
Not really. Obviously, I feel like everyone has their moments, but no, not really. Not really.
Yeah. That's funny that you picked him. Did you guys what's it like in practice? Do you guys when practice is over, are there mano a mano 1-on-1 battles, shooting contests, that kind of thing? Do you guys get competitive as far as that kind of stuff goes?
Oh yeah, we have those. We usually have things pre-practice too, like shooting competitions. But honestly, this year I feel like we're doing a lot more competition whether it's 3-on-3, 2-on-2, or whatever. But yeah, the competition level was always at all-time high.
Devonte he's been such a polarizing player, in Indiana history. I mean, obviously a guy who could go off for 28 points and then a guy who could really struggle just to kind of get into the game. And a lot was made kind of his relationship with Archie. And, having gotten to know him, and we did 2 really long interviews together, I've kind of come to the conclusion, I think he's one of the more kind of misunderstood players that's played at Indiana in a while. Like, give your kind of behind the scenes look at Devonte and maybe kind of some of the fan reaction that he got, and whether you thought that was an accurate portrayal of the guy that you saw in the locker room.
Yeah, no, I mean, the fans either loved him or hated him. That's how it seemed. But no, he's a super cool dude. He's one of like the most chill and relaxed guys I've ever met. But he's super friendly. He's open. He's you can talk to him about anything. Just a super cool guy. I think he might be coming to Bloomington soon. But yeah, I feel like everybody, the fans, what they thought of him was definitely not the type of person he is. I mean, he's super down to earth. I mean, if you met like East Coast guys, pretty much how relaxed and chill they are. That's pretty much what Devonte is.
Yeah. It's so funny how these narratives start, when things aren't going well. And obviously it's like your freshman year when you guys are losing 12 out of 13. I mean, there's just ridiculous stories coming out. It's like, what are people even talking about?
I just saw that last week on social media again. It's crazy. That's too.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and I think it's one of those things, when the team's not doing well, you try to figure out the narrative, right? And one of the narratives has always been like, okay, is the chemistry good? Do these guys like each other? That kind of thing. Like, can you talk a little bit to like what the chemistry has been like, on the teams that you've been on? And do you notice at all a difference with this group of players that you guys have now?
I would say, honestly, each year, I feel like it's progressed. Like the team chemistry on and off the court, it's gotten better each year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even though we're losing, I would even say the team chemistry has been bad. Like everybody's super cool off the court. There's no problems. No, like all the rumors you said, none of those are true. People just they need something to make a story to seem like a reason why we're losing. But yeah, team chemistry actually, I feel like it's a little higher this year than it's been in the past. But I feel like just with the new coaching staff and when things I feel like are more positive on the court, that just helps the overall environment with everything.
So let me play devil's advocate for a second then, because it could be fair to say at times team chemistry could also be too good if everybody's friends and buddy, but no one holds each other accountable. Like, do you think, and I think you kind of hinted at this, I think, for that first season, where it's almost like, hey, maybe we needed some more internal leadership to step up. Do you think as you've progressed that you've had that? Like, have there been guys inside the locker room who can have frank conversations if someone's not getting the job done and be able to have, tough conversations but still be cool? Like, do you think it's almost been a little bit too close?
No, I wouldn't say it's too close. Like I said before, I feel like the best teams are player-led. So, I mean, even if you're off the court, obviously the leaders have to step up and tell you if you're messing around in practice or just in a workout. So I feel like everyone knows what they have to do, and coach is demanding the most out of you. So you know what we have to do.
Yeah. Hey, one topic I wanted to talk with you about, and I forgot to get to it when we talked about the Butler game, is there was an awesome story that came out after that about Nicholas Aguilar, who wrote you this awesome letter, talked about how great your shot was and how he had made a buzzer beater. And then, of course, at the end, it said, P.S. I'm glad you didn't go to Purdue, which everybody just loved. And if I recall correctly, like you actually got to meet him and, kind of converse back and forth. What was that like? And what did that kind of show you early on about, what it was going to be like being a player at Indiana and the responsibility that is?
Oh, yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, it was pretty cool just getting that recognition from him. Like, I still kept conversation. I actually have his number, so all last season I was still texting him and everything. I mean, I gave him a pair of shoes and some gear and everything. But it was pretty cool just to see, how much love you really get from the IU fans. Like, Hoosier Nation is really crazy. Even good or bad, they're going to love you. So, it's still strong to this day, and you can feel the hype going into the season right now. But yeah, Nicholas, he's pretty cool. I'll invite him to a game this year.
Nice. It's really neat seeing stuff like that develop, and he's kind of at that age because he was what, 10? Was he 10?
Yeah, I think he was 11 at the time. 10 or
11. Yeah, because I mean, when I was born in 81, when I was 11 and 12 is, 91, 92, 93, which to this day are my favorite Indiana teams. And Calvert Chaney to me is just like, the god among gods, because I was his age, Nicholas's age, kind of watching Calvert Chaney just like he is watching you. How often do you step back and kind of think about that? And kind of what that responsibility is like? Is that something that you think about and that you take seriously?
Oh yeah, I feel like when I go home, I actually like get back and sit back and like reflect on everything. Because I mean, once you're here, you're working so hard and you're within like the schedule of school and everything. But I feel like going back home, you actually get to reset a little bit. You get to see what you pretty much worked for your whole life and everything. So I feel like going back home just really makes me just not take anything for granted and really just see like the platform I have to everybody. Really where I can reach out and help people.
And it's so innocent when, the fans are 10, 11, 12. And then, of course, you get these blowhard 40-year-olds with their podcasts that come on and try to analyze the game. And that's a little bit different. How do you try to balance like the good and the bad of the fans? Because you're right. Like Hoosier Nation, there's so much passion. And man, when things are going good, it's awesome. But there's, the passion can be a double-edged sword. How do you try and manage that and focus on the good and try and keep kind of some of the more negative stuff out?
Like you said, I've seen both the good and the bad, so I know how it feels on both sides. But I say the big thing is just keep your mind on what's important. Really, it's pretty much. I feel like you have to keep a schedule. You have to do things, be consistent with what you do. Whether it's going to the gym, just doing things to keep your mind occupied and not focused on what people have to say about you, really. Because at the end of the day, the people that really care about you will tell you the truth if you're messing up or if you're doing good. So just focus on really the things you love, focus on the people you love. And at the end of the day, I feel like your mind will be good.
What's kind of your social media strategy such that you have one? Like, do you change how you use social media during the season as opposed to the off season?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I get off of it. I'm actually on it a lot less than I have been. I actually have something set on my phone where it limits me a certain amount of hours a day. But
oh, nice.
Yeah. In season, I wouldn't say I'll be off it completely, but I mean, I try to be on as least as possible.
Yeah. I mentioned, you've been, sending out those tweets with quotes from Dave Anderson and his book. Can you talk to me a little bit about his book and kind of why his work speaks to you and why you like sharing that information?
Really, it's like an NIL opportunity I had. He reached out to me about it, but really it has helped me. I feel like I finished the book already, and one of my teammates he'll be the next person to tweet, but I'm not going to say who it is. But really, it's helped me with pretty much my routine with everything, like the mental toughness, like you mentioned at the beginning with Coach Feist and everything. But it's something you can read every day that will help you with everything you do. Just the way you approach things, just your morning routine when you get up and have your mind focused on certain things that you want to focus on the day, and really things that will help you accomplish your goals so you don't lose focus on what's the goal.
Yeah. And what's it been like kind of developing your relationship with Coach Feist? Talked earlier about how he's, kind of dealt with some of those confidence issues. Like, do you feel like having him as a resource is going to be, something that'll kind of help you as you go through the season?
Yeah, that's his big thing with me right now is just honestly developing a relationship off the court where if I need anything or just want to talk to him, I can just go in and talk to him. But yeah, it's been pretty well. He told me, he said, you have a similar story. He came in with a lot of hype, but he was a McDonald's All-American when he came in. So he said pretty much the beginning of our careers were kind of the same. And then he finished his senior year and he feels like I can do the same. I think they won national championship that year. He won defensive player of the year and everything. So he feels like if I have a great season, the team will have a great season and we'll be successful this year.
Yeah. Yeah. They lost to Maryland in the title game. They made that incredible run, beat Duke in the Sweet 16, and then made it all the way to the title game.
I didn't realize how crazy he was as a player, though, like how dirty he was.
Okay, so how have you learned that? Is that other people saying it, or does he like sharing how dirty he was?
The stories he told me, and then like last week he sent me an article about how he bit a player during the game.
He's very proud of that, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Are you going to be adopting any of? Have you learned any little tricks from Dane that you're going to add to your defensive repertoire this year?
Yeah, I've learned a little bit. Not those dirty things, but I mean, he tells me if you want to, frustrate your opponent, just ask me about the things he used to do. But I don't play like that.
Yeah, just, you can always retort back. Just don't foul 3-point shooters at the very end of games. That's not something that you want to do. As you look forward to this, to your final season, or who knows if it'll be your final season, because you're going to have the option for another one, but your senior season anyway. Like, what are some of the goals that you have individually? I mean, I know that there are team goals, but, what are some of the things that you really want to accomplish individually that maybe you haven't had a chance to do yet?
I say Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year for sure. And then I want to be on one of the all-conference teams, one of the top 3, and then obviously make the NCAA tournament, and then see where we go from there. I feel like if we can make the NCAA tournament, then win the Big Ten too. If you win the Big Ten, so many opportunities I feel like you can win the whole thing. So, yeah, personal goals would be Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, and then be on the all-conference teams.
Do you get a sense for what your role is going to be? Obviously, the roster is a little bit different. Xavier Johnson was brought in, and he's a guy who's obviously, accomplished a lot in the ACC as a point guard. You've got Christian Lander, who's kind of a young guy. So, that's 3 of you guys that really, are kind of point guards in name. Have you gotten a sense yet from the coaches where you'll be? Are you going to play more off ball? What do you think that'll look like, especially on the offensive end? I think defensively, we kind of have a pretty good idea what you're going to be doing. What do you think it'll be offensively?
I feel like I'll be on the ball still, and then I'll be off the ball a lot too. But like I said, the way our offense is, we don't really have a particular ball handler or like a point guard. There's multiple ball handlers with everything. So I feel like there'll be a lot of guys playing different positions out there.
Which is good because I think as we've seen in college basketball, you've got to have multiple guys who can handle the ball to win. And it hasn't always felt like it's been like that the last few seasons, where you really had, ball handlers like that you could count on. Talk to me about some of the other guys, like Tamar Bates and Miller Kopp and some of these, other new guys that are coming in. Mm-hmm. What is maybe different about them that you think will really help you guys, be able to achieve some of these goals that you just mentioned?
With Scoop, Tamar, I would say his biggest thing is confidence. He's super confident. He's outspoken. Like his first open gym, he was in there talking trash. So from the jump, he knew he came with confidence, and he can play too. So he's a really good scorer. Plays super hard. And then Miller, he's a shooter. We played him at Northwestern, and just his leadership and his intensity with everything he does, whether it's in the weight room or on the court. He works super hard. And then X, he's super dynamic with the ball. He can really score, and then he's super quick. And like I said, his leadership too off the court. He's a super goofy and funny guy, so that helps brings the team together. And then Big Mike, he's a big body down there, and then he's a veteran too, so he knows what it takes to win. And he's really he's a super cool dude off the court too, so everybody vibes with each other.
Is there anybody that you think is really going to surprise people that's just really improved a ton in the offseason, and you're like, whoa, that guy's he's really going to produce a ton this year?
I say Geronimo.
Yeah,
JG.
What have you seen from him? What's really developed from him in the offseason?
I would say his confidence. Whether it's taking guys off the wing, knocking down threes and everything. He really has been doing it all in practice. He actually, Trace probably won't say it, but he actually just dunked on Trace in practice the other day. Crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, JG's he's been working his tail off, and really he's gotten a lot better since last year.
Yeah. What was it like being able to take that trip to the Bahamas? And how important was that, do you think, with the new coach, the new players, all that? It
was super fun. We actually got to do a lot of things off the court. So it was really a bonding experience. And I know we went 2-0 against 2 pro teams. So I feel like that really boosted our confidence and just let everybody know on the team that like we have a chance to be really good this year. But yeah, no, it was a really fun experience. We got to do a lot of things. So it was a great experience out there.
You mentioned Trace. What's it been like to watch his development up close? Because he's a guy who, like Romeo, came in with massive expectations, not to the same level of Romeo, but also has kind of had the weight of the team on his shoulders because he's been the go-to guy almost from day one. How have you seen him kind of grow and develop since he first stepped on campus?
A lot. I mean, even off the court. But this year he's been different. Like his mentality and everything. He's been working super hard. But I would just really say this year his work ethic is really off the charts. It's haven't been like that the past 2 years. But this just him going in the gym late at night, pretty much every day. Just him being coachable with Coach Woodson and just allowing him to knowing that he'll develop them and help him be a player at the next level. But yeah, Trace he's going to be a problem this year.
Yeah, I think so. And it's great that he came back, and this offseason was filled with so much turmoil, when you have a coaching change, and then of course you've got the transfer rules that change, so you can go anywhere. What was that decision like for you? Because a lot of guys, when the coach that recruited them, leaves, it's an opportunity for them to get a fresh start, go somewhere else. Did you think about going somewhere else? And what was that like with the teammates? So many guys like going in the transfer portal, coming back. Like, is that something that you guys talked about together, or was everybody kind of making their own individual decisions?
Guys talked about it, but I mean, at the end of the day, I know I wanted to be at IU. I mean, it's a place that recruited me from the jump, and I mean, I love IU, so I honestly didn't think I was going to leave. But I mean, some guys thought about it, but I mean, I didn't really think I was going to leave because I knew we were going to get a great coach regardless of who we got.
Yeah. What are the things that you love most about Indiana, basketball and non-basketball? Like if you had to make a list and someone was asking you, like what's the top of your list of things you love about IU?
I would just say the atmosphere and just like the vibe on campus when you're just going on Kirkwood or you're in the square, whatever. But it's really a friendly environment. I feel like whether I'm pretty much anywhere in Indiana, you pretty much get love wherever you are. So I would say that just a friendly environment, just the love everyone shows.
Yeah. What are your favorite spots? Like, what are your favorite restaurants? What are your favorite hangout spots in Bloomington?
Obviously, Buffalo Louie's, Pizza X. I would say Malibu Grill down in the square. And then, I mean, every once in a while we go to Zach Grab. So
love that place. That is a must stop every time I'm in Bloomington, for sure. For sure. So, the other big change is the name, image, likeness stuff. Which you're guys that are here now are kind of the pioneers for this, because this is the first time we've had a chance to do this. Obviously you had your shirt come out. You talked about, with Dave Anderson, this interview came about because, we have the opportunity to reach out to you guys now and, and pay you for your time. I mean, you doing this interview gives value to us. And so it makes sense that we're able to pay you for it. What has that been like? And like, where do you think that the NIL thing is going to go? It's so early right now, but what have you learned about it, and where do you think this will go for the guys who are coming up behind you?
Yeah, I mean, we're still learning things every day with everything we're doing, but I know it's crazy. It's been a long time coming. I feel like it's obviously should have happened a long time ago, but I mean, it's great just to have the opportunity to have a little bit more money in your pocket when after the stipend checks, but it's a great opportunity for guys to pretty much express themselves, use their platform to help other businesses promote them and everything. But it's been great. I mean, I know obviously they said once the season comes with everything, there'll be more opportunities, but I'm just really looking forward to it.
Like, as you look back on your recruitment, how much do you think NIL stuff would have factored in to your recruitment? Is that something that would have been on your list? Like, where am I going to get these opportunities? Are they presenting me with certain opportunities? And do you think kind of moving forward that's going to be an important part of recruiting for young guys coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it wouldn't, because I mean, obviously your mentality would be different once you're high school and you can get these opportunities and everything. But I feel like for sure that's gonna impact recruiting a lot. I mean, I feel like it's gonna be a little bit kind of like how it is overseas a little bit, at a point where like when you're 16 or 17, you're kind of like pros at that point, but they don't want to be considered pros because, I mean, obviously NCAA the rule, but yeah, it's going to change a lot of things. I feel like the top schools are like going to be so ahead of everybody, and then bottom schools who can't really offer the athletes that much money are going to be lower. So I feel like it would be kind of like how football is. Like the top 10 schools are way better than other people, and then the bottom tier will be down there.
Yeah. How's the T-shirt been?
Oh, actually, I had pretty good sales the first month. So
yeah.
Today I actually just got my own shirt. So a lot of people had their shirt before I even got one. So
yeah, I have my order in. It hasn't arrived yet, but I'm looking forward to getting mine. The the president of the Rob Phinisee fan club has to have one of these before the season starts. So it's been kind of a thing on our show. I did this with Devonte, did it with Al. Like, to me, when you've put in 3 years, like you have, and you're coming into your senior season, to me, like that, you've earned all the support in the world, and so I'm kind of the one who champions the senior guards and expects the best out of you guys. So to me, that's part of the fun of cheering for college sports as opposed to pro sports, is kind of seeing you guys develop and seeing you grow over time, mentally, physically, your games, all that stuff. And it's what makes doing this rewarding. What do you think is going to be different about Rob Phinisee this year on the court? Like, what do you think are some things that, as we watch you play this year, we may say, wow, this part of his game's better. This is a little bit different. What do you anticipate those things being?
I would say pretty much from everything. I feel like you're going to see like a totally different player out there. Seeing me doing things offensively that I probably didn't do in the past. Even, like I said, picking up full court, and actually, I feel like showing what I can actually do to the guys with the ball, on the ball. Like, it'll be a lot different just seeing my intensity on defense, and I would say my leadership skills too. I mean, that's a big thing with Coach Woodson. Like he said, he wants player-led teams. So just being a leader out there and getting guys in position, just pretty much leading the offense, leading the team.
What's Coach Woodson like? I mean, he seems like just the calmest, coolest dude in the room. Like, what is he like as a coach?
You call him like the OG. Everybody just demands respect, even though he doesn't come out that way with it. But really, you can just tell everybody respects him. Whatever he does, you can tell he knows a lot, and really, you can tell he wants the best out of all his players, and he's not going to treat anybody differently, regardless who you are. So. We're really just excited to have him, and I'm just really looking for that senior season to have a breakout season.
One other guy that I want to get your perspective on is Kenya, who has obviously developed an incredible reputation as a recruiter for a lot of the players that he's brought in, but also just as a guy who is really good at developing relationships with players. What is Kenya like, and what has he meant to the program? Kind of being, as you mentioned earlier, kind of the holdover from the previous staff.
Mm-hmm. I feel like him, obviously he was like the only coach who came back. So he kept the guys who were like in the transfer portal here. He's the main guy who did that. But I mean, so Coach Flint was like my player coach left before he left. But I mean, once he came over, it was Coach Hunter. But yeah, he's a great recruiter on and off the court. He's actually a super cool dude. Like, one of the coolest coaches I've been around. So, yeah, just he's super intense too. But I mean, off the court, you can have fun with him. You can talk to him about anything. But I mean, I see why he's getting all these recruits, because he's just a super down to earth guy.
Yeah. All right, I want to play another clip because I have a few more clips here, and so I want to play one from last season. Tell me if you recognize where this game is from.
And his 20th point ties this game at 85. Backing out to Phinisee. 5 on the shot clock. Phinisee gonna have to go. Phinisee pivots, turns, jumper is true for Rob Phinisee, and Indiana leads by a pair. Here's Sessoms, 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Sessoms drives into the teeth of the defense. Fadeaway is not gonna go from Brockington, and Indiana survives at home.
Do you remember that game?
Yeah, the Penn State game.
The Penn State game. And really kind of a quintessential Rob Phinisee moment, because offensively you go down and hit the big shot, the go-ahead shot, and then great defense on the other end to force a miss. What do you remember about that, the end of that game?
I remember I was struggling the games before that, but I remember hitting that shot, and I feel like that boosted my confidence a little bit. But yeah, I don't think that play was for me either. Honestly, a lot of those shots I hit at the end the plays aren't for me. I just hit the shots at the end. But yeah, I think it was a turnaround jumper I hit like right at the free throw line.
It's interesting, kind of going back to our conversation from before, because in those moments, you seem so like kind of calm and confident. I wonder if that has anything to do with it, that on some of those plays, you're just kind of scrambling and you have to make a play. There's almost no time to think about it. You're just going and making a play.
Yeah, just going out there playing basketball, really.
Yeah. Huh. The other thing that's really noticeable when you listen to that was a home game. There is no chance that a go-ahead shot in the final seconds would be that quiet with a packed Assembly Hall. Now, what was that like playing in empty gyms, during the COVID season? That had to be strange, I would imagine.
It was super weird. I would say probably the first 5 games I wasn't used to it, but I mean after that you got used to it. But yeah, I mean we just talked about that last week, how different the season could have been with the fans in there, how like we could have pulled away some wins just from the fans. But it was pretty weird. I mean, I'm super excited just to have them back because we haven't really experienced it. Even being at the football game last week, just seeing the intensity from the crowd, from the student section, everything, it's just really got us excited for the season.
Talk me through what kind of impact that has. Like, is it, when Assembly Hall is going nuts, is the impact more like positive for you guys and you guys have more energy and you're more focused, or is it more something that impacts the other team? And then maybe you can speak to this about when you're in a tough road environment too, to where it kind of rattles you a little bit. Like what is the impact of a really good home crowd?
Home crowd, I would say definitely once you're rolling, you hit shots and everything. I feel like you don't get tired. It's just like if you get in the zone. But I feel like for the opposing team, it really does rattle them. Like being on the road, like you feel like you're poised and everything, and then like you have a good shot and like the ball just doesn't go in. It's crazy. But yeah, I feel like that home crowd definitely it's a big advantage.
What's the toughest venue that you've played in?
Toughest, I would say Duke my freshman year, and then Cameron Indoor, and then Mackey.
Yeah. What's your favorite opposing gym to play in? Like one where you just kind of go there and like just the shooting background is good and you just feel comfortable.
I like playing at Illinois and actually Michigan State. I like playing those. I like playing there.
Really? What is it about Michigan State? Because that's obviously a pretty raucous atmosphere.
Yeah, I like playing Iowa too, but Michigan State is just, I don't know, the rims. I feel like the rims are a little bit softer there, where like shots go in a little bit better. But it's just a great environment. My freshman year playing there, and then obviously playing there last year without the crowd, it was pretty nice playing there too. But I don't know, it's just something about it. I like playing there.
So you mentioned Iowa. Let me play this last clip because this is from the Iowa game last year.
Good job on the glass by Franklin, denying Wieskamp. Phinisee and the rebound to the freshman Anthony Leal, who's had some nice moments, in particular against Wisconsin a couple of weeks ago. There's a good shot from Rob Phinisee, and Indiana's on top for the first time. Ooh, lazy pass. And Phinisee puts it in off the giveaway by Wieskamp.
See, it was fun going back and watching those clips. That game, obviously, you tied your career high in points with 18. And, a huge win for you guys, which really, kind of made it feel like the season was getting back on track. But, the first clip there was you went coast to coast for a layup. Then you had this, kind of, it was in transition. It was like this pull-up, step-back three in transition. You just looked so fluid and confident. Like, is that the kind of thing that you think we'll see more, where it's just the shot's here, I'm going to take it, the drive's here, I'm going to take it, and it's just more instinctive basketball?
Yeah, for sure. That's what Coach Woodson, his big thing is. He wants that's what he tells us, play defense, and then we can have fun on offense. So I feel like just the way we're playing this year, a lot fast pace. We'll be able to get a lot of shots up, and I feel like it's just gonna be super fun out there.
Yeah. So why did you like playing at Iowa? Was that just part that Iowa doesn't really play much defense and those games are always just kind of like up and down and crazy?
Yeah, I mean it's always like that at Iowa, but it's this is just the way they do play defense. I don't know, it's different. I feel like I wouldn't say they allow you to shoot, but shots are a lot more open there, and they sometimes play zone too. And I feel like it's easy to get in the paint there and pretty much create for everybody. So
Yeah.
I always like playing Iowa.
Yeah. As you look back on last season, again, I mean, you guys played so good that night. I mean, defensively, I mean, you really played good defense on Garza and you kind of controlled that game from the beginning. And, again, it felt like things were going to get going. And then you come back and you drop that game against Rutgers, which was so disappointing. And then you end up beating Iowa again at home. And then the bottom just kind of fell out of things. Like what do you think happened toward the end of the season that just didn't allow you guys to kind of pull back from the brink?
I would say it was kind of similar to like my freshman year, when it was like you have to have, like, all we need is one game. I feel like after that Michigan State home game, like where we were on the brink, where we were last four in or whatever, first four out, whatever. I feel like after that it kind of went downhill from there. I feel like you can sometimes get caught up in the hype of like whether you're going to be in the tournament or not, and you're too focused on looking ahead instead of focused on one game at a time. So I feel like that's what happened a little bit towards the end of the season.
Like, is that something where you can feel it as it's happening? You mentioned that Michigan State loss, and obviously that was disappointing for everybody. Like, can you feel that in the locker room and then at practice after that, where it's like, oh man, like we don't have the same confidence. There's like an enthusiasm that's not here. Or is that something that you look back on in hindsight and pick it up?
I would say a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I feel like you feel that pressure, like obviously because there's so much social media, and especially during that time of the year, you're seeing all the NCAA predictions and everything. So you're right on like the brink of making the tournament or not. And like you're too focused. Like our focus, I feel like should have been more on just winning the next game instead of like focus on if we're going to make the tournament or not.
Yeah. Do how do you approach things now coming into your senior season, having not yet played an NCAA tournament game? Because I can't imagine that you thought that was going to be the case when you came to Indiana. And it's very possible that if COVID had happened, that you would have played an NCAA tournament game, your sophomore year. Mm-hmm. How do you look at that now? Like, is that just this gaping hole in your experience that, you're going to feel a massive regret for if you don't, and you kind of feel some of that pressure? Or do you try not to think about it too much?
I feel like just from knowing what I know, I feel like what I have to do this senior year is just focus at one game at a time. I mean, if you focus on that, focus on the moment you're in, that, I mean, whatever you want at the end, you'll accomplish your goals. So I feel like if you win each day, do whatever you have to do, each game you do, like the goals you have at the end of the season will take care of themselves.
Yeah. And, look, I mean, obviously, one of the biggest things that's kept you guys from winning more games and playing in the NCAA tournament is just shooting the ball better. Basketball can sometimes be a very simple game where it's, if you make shots, you're going to win. If you don't, you're not. And you've been on teams that have really struggled to make shots. Do you think that is more that there just haven't been good shooters, that you struggled with confidence, that there was something about the system that just didn't kind of build confidence? And what do you think can lead to that shooting being better this year? Because ultimately that's probably the single most important thing that'll determine, whether you guys have a better season or not, is just being able to make shots.
Yeah, no, I think we'll definitely make shots this year. Really, I feel like it's a collective group thing. I feel like even in the past, like you see one guy miss a shot and then like you're focused on, all right, I have to make this shot because we've missed our last 7 or 8 threes. You see that, but
yeah.
Again, you see the same thing about free throws, where it's like a guy misses 2 and then you're up to a line, and then you think too much about it. That's the thing. But this year, I feel like I said, it's free flowing. Like as long as you're playing defense, he honestly doesn't really get mad about the shots you take as long as it's a good open shot and it's within the offense. So I feel like the confidence at an all-time high with everybody, and everybody just feels like they can play their game and just go out there and be free.
Yeah. Well, man, you've been really generous with your time, and I appreciate it. Let me just get a couple more questions before I let you go. As you look back on the time that you spent in Bloomington so far, I mean, we went through, I think, some of the more memorable basketball memories. But are there any memories that we didn't kind of relive today that were really important to you, or like a big moment, or something that you did on the court that you look back on and you're like, that was a signature Rob Phinisee, moment on the court?
On the court, I would say I felt like versus Louisville, I hit another big shot.
That's right.
Like a minute left. I would say that was one.
There's too many big shots to fit. That's the thing. That's how you get the nickname Big Shot Rob.
Yeah, I mean, not off the top of my head. I can't really think of anything. But
what are some of the best memories off the court? I mean, you mentioned some of the places that that you like to go, but what are it's so easy, I think, with with players like you. I mean, we see you play, and our entire context for you is as a basketball player. But you obviously spend a lot of time not as a basketball player. Like, what are some of the memories that you've had, or things that you've done just as a student, that have been the most special to you?
I would say, honestly, my freshman year, just experiencing the dorm life and just meeting new people. So, I mean, coming from Lafayette, you don't know really what to expect at IU, but I mean, I had a great time my freshman year, being in the dorms with, the five I came in with, I'm the only one left, Jerome, Demise, Jake, and Romeo. So
that's right.
We had a really great time. For my freshman year, I met a lot of new people, had a lot of new experiences and everything. So that was a great time. And obviously just being able to hang out with my teammates, growing relationships that will, last forever. I know you always hear that, but they're really like your true brothers. You go through a lot of things together. So just enjoying the time with my teammates and just experience IU life and just meeting new people every day.
You still stay in touch with all those guys, Jerome, Demise, all those, even though they've, left and kind of gone on to different things, whether it's Romeo going pro or transferring to different places. You guys all still stay in touch?
Yeah, we do. I mean, that was a big thing with us coming in. We were super close. And I know we always used to try to like fight the older guys in the locker room, our five versus whoever really wanted it. So all five of us were super close.
Now, where did you guys live freshman year? Did you live in dorms, or were you in Evolve?
No, we were like the last freshman class that had to live in the dorms. So it was a fun experience. I feel like freshmen should live in the dorms just to experience and meet new people. Like, they're not always with the same people every day. So
yeah, I imagine it's got to be pretty easy to just be kind of insular with just the basketball team, or maybe just athletes, and living in the dorms would help you, like you said, kind of get out and branch out a little bit.
Yeah, it was super fun time. Met a lot of people.
What dorm did you guys live in?
We lived in Briscoe.
In Briscoe? Okay. Yeah. So what do you think now of Evolve? I mean, how, I think, like you said, you don't quite get the same experience meeting people, but you also get a few more amenities than what you guys had at Briscoe. What's that like for guys as they come in?
It's super nice. Luxury, like a luxury apartment. So you have there's a basketball court down there, super nice weight room. There's like a little turf, and then there's there's a grill over there. Parker actually cooks over there a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a master on the grill.
Nice.
But yeah, it's super cool experience, just the pool and everything. So, being a freshman, obviously you want to experience new things and see a lot of new people. So it's a pretty fun experience out there.
It's interesting. When you were a freshman, if they had given you the opportunity to live at Evolve over Briscoe, you probably would have taken it. Sure, but it sounds like in hindsight, you're glad you did it the other way.
Yeah, that's what I tell them all the time. Like, if you want to, because you're with a lot of upperclassmen at Evolve and everything. So I feel like a lot of people aren't your age, but that freshman experience is pretty fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's interesting, the wisdom that you get, when you've been there for a few years, that, the freshmen come in. Like, what do you think about that now? Because you were a freshman not too long ago, but now you've got all this experience, you've got all this wisdom. And now, you see these new freshmen coming in, and they're probably a lot like you were when you came in. What kind of advice do you try to give those guys?
Honestly, I try to tell them things that, like, the things I wish I would have knew when I was a freshman. and just different things where like sometimes you can tell if someone's, I would say they're lying about something because it's something you do as a freshman, and like you know the truth, about what they're talking about. But yeah, like the older you get, the more wise you get. You don't really understand it until time passes.
Is there anything else that you wish that you had known when you were a freshman?
Wish I had known. I would just say my big thing is the grind college basketball is, and like you just have to keep a level head regardless of what's going on with everything. And yeah, just the grind. Just know it's going to be a grind all year round, whatever you're doing. So we just focus on what is important, and don't take your mind off of it.
What do you think is the thing that fans don't understand the most about what that grind is like, and what being a college basketball player at a school like Indiana is like?
I would say there's a little bit of stress about it, but it's really, I would say, the mentality you have to have. You have to play here. Whether it's, like I said, the good or the bad, you have to play hard, whatever you're doing. I mean, you're going to get judged whatever you do on and off the court. But yeah, I would just say still just a grind about it, where we're working probably 10 or 11 months out the year with what we're doing just to play, just to train for play for 5 months.
So what are you planning for after basketball? I mean, I know that you obviously hope to have a professional basketball career, and that's goal number one. But what are your interests off the court, and what are some of the things that you're thinking about doing once you're not playing basketball anymore?
I still want to stay with basketball. Obviously, like you said, I want to play as long as I can. But after, I'd like to get like a coaching job within the NBA, whether it's like a scout or just like in the front office. I want to end up working my way up, and then eventually I want to try to be like a general manager by the time it's all said and done.
Really? So you want to go more of a front office route than a coaching route?
I mean, that's the goal right now, but I don't think I want to be a college coach. There's a lot that goes into it, but I'd rather stay in the NBA and see what happens there.
I can see with your experience at IU, I can see why being a college basketball coach probably doesn't seem too attractive. It's a hard life, man. It is. The money's good, but it's definitely a hard life. Right. Are you obviously like, someone like Jared Jeffries has been able to do that. He was got into scouting, worked in different front offices. Is that a resource that you're able to kind of tap into and talk to and learn about some of those things from?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he came to practice a couple times last year, but I mean, just having that IU connection, whether it's Frank with the Clippers, I mean, there's a lot of guys, former managers and players who are within the NBA, even Coach Woodson, I mean, he'd have connections too. So I feel like just having that IU connection is really a big thing because the alumni, there's so many of them. So that could help me in my future.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, last question for you. What do you think it's going to be like? October 2nd, obviously, Hoosier hysteria is coming. It'll be your first time to kind of come out, and fans will be there. They'll be masked, but there will be fans there. What's that going to be like, being able to go back out at Assembly Hall, how it should be, packed with fans and excited to watch you guys play some basketball?
No, we're super excited about it. I mean, I just figured I'm going to be in the skills competition, but super excited about it. We're really just to see Hoosier Nation out there, and we want our new guys to experience it, and even our freshmen, because they didn't get to experience it last year. So everyone's excited, and I'm ready to just get out there and show the fans something.
So you'll be in the skills competition?
I will.
Nice. Okay. Do you know who you're competing against?
I think Xavier, Race, and Logan.
Okay. All right. It would have been fun to see you in the dunk contest. What were you going to say?
I said it would be fun to see what Logan does in that, but
yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually a lot more athletic than a lot of people think too, though. So hopefully,
there's no doubt about it. And I kind of regret now not getting some of those clips. I distinctly remember a play against Northwestern where you drove down the lane, and I swear it looked like you just turned on like rocket boosters. I was like, I didn't know he could do that. I think you missed the dunk, but still, like, just seeing those ups. Maybe that's something we can see here your fourth year. Let's
see that this year a little bit.
All right, let's see you show off the athleticism a little bit. That's good. That's good. Well, hey, I want to get you out of here with this. So I assume that you've never listened all the way through to one of our episodes, and that's probably good. I would not advise that you do it. But at the end of every episode, we have our little line that we end with: "Keep your elbows in, your eyes on the rim, and go Hoosiers." Would you be willing to do that for me so that we can play it at the end of games?
You said keep your elbows in, eye on the rim, go Hoosiers.
Yeah. So what guys usually say is, like, hey, take it from me, Rob Phinisee. Keep your elbows in and your eyes on the rim and go Hoosiers.
All right, I got you. So whenever?
Yeah, just whenever.
All right. Take it from me, Rob Phinisee. Keep your eyes on the rim and your elbows in, go Hoosiers.
All right. We usually do it in the reverse, but that's okay. We can keep it that way for this one. That's all right. It's all good. Well, hey man, I really appreciate the time. It was really fun getting to chat and get to know you a little bit better. I'm glad that we have these opportunities. I've thought for a long time that it'll help the fan relationships with players if we actually get a chance to get to know you guys more and get to talk to you more, and so I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I hope everybody who's listening enjoyed it and feels like they kind of know you a little bit better and have the stage set for a big senior year for you.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Good luck this season. We'll be cheering for you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.